Hello, I'm here today to talk to you about the seasonal flu and how you can better protect yourself and your family this flu season. What is influenza? Well, seasonal influenza is one of the leading causes of death here in the United States. It accounts for anywhere from 25,000 to 50,000 deaths every year, and we see about 54,000 to 430,000 hospitalizations. Seasonal influenza is a single-stranded RNA sequence, which means it has the ability to change very easily. We can see a small mutation such as a drift, or we can see a very large mutation called a shift. One of the last major flu pandemics that we had was the 1918 Spanish flu. That was a large shift, and it was an avian-derived virus. Uh, we hear a lot of people talking about the last major pandemic that we had, the H1N1 pandemic. You may be wondering what the H and the N stand for. The H is something called hemagglutinin. Hemagglutinin, you can think of that as a Velcro for the virus. So, virus gets into your system, it starts attaching to the lungs, won't come off. The N component is something called neuraminidase. The neuraminidase allows the virus to start spreading throughout the body into other cells. So if we were to lack, let's say, the H component, the hemagglutinin, virus comes into the body, spreads through the body very quickly, and then exits. It doesn't have anything to attach onto. If it was missing the N component, it would come in, latch onto the lungs, and just stay right there. It wouldn't go anywhere else. It would be fairly easy to target just that. Every year, scientists get together and they decide on the next vaccines for the new year. So each vaccine contains 3 strains. It contains 2 A strains and 1 B strain. Now your A strains are what we've noticed to be the major cause of the seasonal flu. We really don't see much of an outbreak of the B strain. So the A strains we tend to get right about 90% of the time, and our B strain right about 50% of the time. And like I said, we haven't really had a major outbreak of the B strains, so that's not something that we really focus too much on. How is the flu spread? Flu spread 80% of the time by direct contact. Direct contact most of the time is when the person sneezes or coughs right in your face. It gets into your eyes, gets into your nasal passages, maybe gets into your mouth. The droplets of spray become aerosolized. So you're going to breathe that in, and it goes right down to your lungs, starts latching on there, then starts spreading throughout your body. The next cause accounts for 20% of infections is indirect contact. Indirect contact can be, say, I coughed onto someone's phone, they pick it up, start breathing in the virus. Maybe I started coughing all over the countertop, or I touched a pen that became contaminated. And the next person comes along, they breathe that in, touched it, whatever, didn't wash their hands, and they start touching their face, or they start eating something. Children tend to be excellent carriers of the seasonal flu. They don't have the best hygiene in the world, so they're going to be coughing, sneezing, touching everything in sight and then putting it into their mouths, touching their face. They're going to bring it home to the parents, and it's just going to spread from there. We hear a lot of talk about the heart of flu season. The heart of flu season, yes, is in October through December. That's when we see a great prevalence of influenza cases. The reason for this is because in very cold months, the virus starts secreting something that we know as flu goo. It's a viral coating. You can think of that as the body armor for the flu. So it's a very durable coating that is secreted, especially during the cold months. Only way to break this flu goo barrier is either with a very high temperature or to get your seasonal flu vaccination. Vaccinations take about 2 weeks to build up proper immunity in your body. They become available late August and especially in September. So as soon as it becomes available, I would strongly recommend that you go out and get the vaccination. If you haven't gotten it yet, it's not too late. Flu season is right here, right now. It's available at most doctor's offices. just about every pharmacy that you can think of has a pretty large supply of it, and they tend to be able to get it a little bit better than doctors' offices just because of the marketing that they do. Um, right now, there's several manufacturers of the seasonal flu vaccines. The two most common ones that you're going to find are um, Sanofi and Novartis. Now, for children, we do offer something called a flu mist vaccination. That is a live attenuated vaccine. So it's live, it's the flu, but it's in its weakened form. So we're not injecting a kid with a full dose of the flu and getting them sick all the time. There is a chance, though, that they can develop the flu from that, just because it is a live vaccine. It's a nasal spray, it goes right up the nostrils. For our adults, we have the intramuscular vaccination. That's the most common one that you're going to find. So intramuscular, it's going to go right into the deltoid, right up here by the shoulder. It does go down through many layers of tissue. It has to enter the muscle. So a lot of times you'll hear people complaining of pain and stuff. The only reason for the pain is it's due to human error. So human error could be the person tensed up their muscle real tight when they're getting the vaccination. They saw the needle and they go, oh my God. Um, and that creates a lot of swelling. Other human error could be the person injecting you. They may have stuck you in the incorrect place in the deltoid. They may have struck a nerve, could have gone too far and started twisting the syringe around in your arm. And that would be the most common cause of the pain. A lot of the news tends to say, put out a lot of these stories about people getting very, very sick after getting the vaccines. Friends and family who may have gotten to go, oh my God, I was sick for weeks after getting this vaccine and stuff. It's probably because they waited too long to get it. What happens when you get the deactivated vaccine, which is the intramuscular vaccination for adults, it's a dead virus, your body starts reacting to it. It wants to build up immunity. It starts creating antibodies. So it recognizes that it is the flu. It realizes that it's in its dead state, but it still wants to build up antibodies to protect yourself later. So it'll recognize the actual flu when it gets there and then just fight it off very quickly. So what it's going to do is it's going to give you symptoms just like the flu. You'll get the runny nose. You might get a headache. You'll feel tired. Some rare cases, you might feel extreme exhaustion. You may notice a small rash around the site, the injection site. That's probably because you had a very minor allergic reaction. Now, of course, if your whole arm starts breaking out in a rash and stuff, and you start having something called an anaphylactic reaction, you need to have emergency medical treatment. The pharmacist, the doctor, is going to administer epinephrine to you, or they're going to administer Benadryl to you, which is diphenhydramine. We haven't, in the millions of people who've been vaccinated so far, we haven't really seen many cases where there's been a problem getting the vaccine. There are several types of intramuscular vaccinations out there. Like I said, we have the regular vaccination, which I just talked about. It's a dead virus. We also have the high-dose flu vaccine for people over the age of 65. Now, that's because we notice that your immune system starts getting very weak after the age of 65. The high-dose flu vaccine was developed just a little while ago. It's only been out for 2 years now. It contains 4 times the amount of antigens, so it's 4 times as strong. The idea with this one is to create, to elicit a better response from your immune system, so your body should react to it a little bit better than it would for the regular vaccine. So you build up immunity to it a little bit better. For pregnant women who are concerned about the mercury in it, which I'll explain in just a little bit, they may have heard, especially from the media and from other people out there, oh, you're going to be at risk for your child getting autism. Well, I'm going to explain that in a little bit. It's a lot of misconception about that. They do offer, like I said, for pregnant women, they offer or people with an allergy to any of the components in it, eggs, gelatin, things like that. It's a preservative-free. Preservative-free is thimerosal-free. Thimerosal has actually been used as a preservative since the 1930s to prevent contamination. There have been many, many studies on it. There's no conclusive evidence to support the statements that it does cause autism. There have been maybe two widely publicized cases of this. And that's two out of the millions and millions of people who get the vaccination every year. The reason why people panic so much is because the media grabs hold of one or two of these stories and then just starts spreading it. And it's like playing the little phone tag game when you were kids. You say one thing, it gets passed around the circle, and the story gets changed over and over again. Uh, I said there's been many, many studies, and there's no conclusive evidence to support this. What thimerosal is it's something called ethyl mercury once it enters the body. Ethyl mercury is safe. It gets excreted from the body very, very quickly. It's very, very different than your methyl mercury, which is found in a lot of seafoods, a lot of, like fish, for example, tuna fish. That methyl mercury is actually very, very unsafe. That is linked to autism. But because you hear the word mercury, you start panicking really quick and you go, oh, to be on the safe side, I'm just not going to get the vaccine at all. I don't care if it's preservative free or whatnot, I'm just not going to get it. Listen, we've vaccinated millions, billions of people over the past couple of decades, and there's only been a handful of cases. Maybe I've heard of maybe two cases in the United States about this. So it's not something that you really have to worry about. It is your choice whether or not you want to get the regular or the preservative-free or even the high-dose vaccine. One thing I forgot to mention about the high-dose vaccine, if you have an allergy to latex, a severe anaphylactic reaction where your throat starts swelling up, you start having really trouble breathing, the tips of the syringe, the caps that go over them, do have latex on it, so there is a possibility that once the syringe enters your muscle, you can start having a reaction to it. So if you have an allergy to latex, let your pharmacist, let your physician know, and just ask them for the regular vaccine. Let's see. Like I said, seasonal flu is it's not something to fool around with. If you have a heart condition, and you develop the flu, many, many times you are going to end up in the hospital. And in some cases, you may end up with death. And it's not something that you want to mess with, like I said. So if you haven't gotten the seasonal flu vaccine yet this year, I strongly encourage that you go out and get it. Like I said, it does take 2 weeks to build up immunity to it. We are about to enter the heart of flu season. Once you get the vaccine, though, I forgot to mention, you may notice the symptoms of the flu. That's only because your immune system started getting weak. And chances are you've already had the flu and you're just fighting it off. In the meantime, your immune system is going strong. But the immune system doesn't last. It can only take so much. So much breaking down that barrier that you have. So once your immune system gets weak, it allows the actual live flu to get in there and start taking control. Symptoms may last anywhere from 3 to 7 days, like I said. If it goes any longer than that, definitely want to contact your physician, and they can start you on some sort of a little home remedy type treatment. You can't really get rid of too many of the symptoms. You can kind of mask some of them. What you really need with that is just plenty of rest. And like I said, go and get your flu vaccines as soon as they're available. The best place to get them, I'll tell you, is at your pharmacy. You don't really need appointments there. They tend to have a very large supply of it. They're done most of the time on demand. One thing about pharmacies, though, their main goal is to get prescriptions done. So after their prescription counts are through, then they'll start working on the vaccinations. With your doctor's office, they're there to treat patients for any number of different medical problems. So you're going to have to make an appointment. And chances are you can end up in that waiting room for over an hour before getting it. At your pharmacy, the most time you might wait is maybe 15 minutes. So 15 minutes compared to an hour, and maybe your doctor won't have it. Maybe they'll come and go, oh, I just ran out of it. Sorry, your pharmacy's not going to run out of it, though. So, like I was saying, there's a lot of good things about getting the vaccinations. I encourage you to go out, get your family vaccinated. Encourage your friends to go out as well. Flu season is here. Let's go out. Let's stick it to the flu.